But Christians commit major sins sometimes, which is the whole reason why Jesus died on the cross. That doesn't negate or condone anything, but it shows that Christianity does not hide from the sinfulness of man. A Christian understands the depravity of human nature, so when a brother or sister does something depraved, our faith is not shaken. Okay. Is there a reason you're not actually describing the events? I mean, I'm going to click on the Wikipedia article. I believe he molested his sisters when they were 5. I know he's 14 at the time, but you could still call this out as being something that was kind of fucked up, you know? You don't have to keep calling it, he did a bad thing. A bad thing occurred, but are we not all sinners? And doth sin not prove the existence of Jesus? So again, checkmate, libs. Yeah, we gotta talk about Matt Walsh. Just put this up here. Matt Walsh, yikes, that's what I'm gonna call this one. So for Matt Walsh, I'm sure you all know that he is the auteur of What is a Woman, a movie he claims is the most popular movie in America by metrics of reasons. And he's also been getting quite a lot of pushback online. It's not been the greatest of times. He's been doing a lot of self-owned posting. He keeps posting pictures of rejections he's had from people to review his film. One of them said, yes, please, can you email a screener copy to dsnuts@gmail.com. And he decided to post that and think that it was another destruction, if you will. It was epic, but I'm not entirely sure why someone would put that on the internet as a victory. But this one was new. I didn't know about this one. Quote, "Let me be honest with you. If my own son, God forbid, came to me and admitted to repeatedly sexually abusing his minor sisters, I don't know what I'd immediately run to the cops," says Matt Walsh, pictured here with pedophile defenders Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar. Now, if you don't know about
any charities or progressive orgs you recommend donating to?
Depends what you're looking to do. If you want to help the LGBTQ+, I recommend the Trevor Project or Mermaids if you're in Britain. If you want to help Indigenous causes, the Residential School Survivors Society is very important. They need a lot of money. They run a 24-hour crisis line in this country. I had no idea what this was all about at first, in terms of like, wait, when did Matt Walsh do that? Is this supposed to be baby Matt Walsh, by the way? Is that a much younger one? Let's just quickly learn about what we're talking about here.
The Josh Duggar child pornography is officially closed. On Wednesday, Josh was sentenced to 151 months in prison, and that's nearly 13 years behind bars.
Today, it's my honor and privilege to join in this announcement of a guilty verdict in the case of United States versus Josh Duggar.
That was just 5 months ago, after the judge reached a verdict. The 34-year-old was found guilty on 2 counts of receiving and possessing child porn.
We respect the jury's verdict, and we look forward to continuing this fight on appeal. We have no more comment at this time.
According to court docs obtained by ET at the time, Josh's lawyers requested a sentence of 60 months. The former reality star was originally facing up to 20 years in prison with fines up to $250,000 per count. And Josh's fate affects his entire family.
God's grace can give me the strength to love Josh when others would say he doesn't deserve it.
Prior to Josh's conviction, his wife Anna spoke to his character. In a letter to the judge obtained by ET, Anna wrote in part, "Consider reuniting us as a family again soon. He is a kind, loving, supportive, and caring father and husband, his primary focus in life."
When your world is shattered, there are a lot of emotions that you have to walk through.
Josh's legal trouble started in 2015 after the 19 Kids and Counting star was accused of molesting a babysitter and 4 of his sisters. Josh's
So, he's pretty yikes. Pretty fucking yikes.
Parents were in complete disbelief when they sat down with Megyn Kelly.
We were shocked. I mean, we were just devastated. I don't think any parent is prepared for trauma like that.
I think as parents, you feel like a failure when one of your kids does something wrong.
And while Josh's parents and siblings made appearances in court throughout the trial, his sister Jill and brother-in-law Derek shared their feelings about it publicly. After Josh's guilty verdict was announced, the couple wrote on their website, "Nobody is above the law. Our hearts go out to the victims of child abuse or any kind of exploitation."
just realizing, yeah, I should probably put a content warning up here, because this dude is pretty fucking disgusting, and why anyone would feel a need to suddenly go to defense of them is beyond me. But let's see exactly what Matt said. Before we condemn, all right, we should let Matt give a little speech. All right, let's do a little reading, shall we? This one is on Blaze Media, and it's written by Matt Walsh. It was written on May 22nd, 2015. So this would be in between the two events that you just learned about. A Christian failing to live up to his faith does not make him a hypocrite. It makes him cowardly, perhaps. It makes him selfish. It makes him flawed. It makes him sinful. But now, you've probably heard Josh Duggar, oldest son in the 19 kids and counting family, did some very bad things a long time ago. Apparently, when he was 14, Josh fondled several young girls, including a number of his younger sisters. After admitting to these acts, his parents presented the situation to their church's leadership, and Josh was sent to a family friend in Little Rock, where he spent several months doing physical labor. When he came home, his parents brought him to a state trooper. The trooper talked to the boy, but no arrest was made. A police report was filed, though, and Josh and his sisters received counseling. The behavior stopped there, and Josh has been upfront about it to anyone who actually needs to know this information. According to his wife, he confesses his past sins to her well before they were married. The family did not, however, announce these details to the world, mostly because there was no conceivable reason to. That is, until someone leaked it to a tabloid, and the whole scandal exploded all over the media yesterday. The backlash has been severe, not because Josh's actions were terrible, though they were, of course, but because the Duggars are a prominent Christian family who regularly speak out on contentious social issues such as gay marriage. They are roundly despised for their beliefs, their outspoken nature, and for the parents' decision to have 19 kids. Progressive trolls have been anxiously waiting for a chance to burn them down and dance on their ashes, and now they've finally been given the opportunity. Not for the bad things that he did, of course, no, but for all the politics surrounding it. Yes, no one had anything to say about the first part. It certainly hasn't gone to waste. Just a cursory look at the blogosphere and my social media feeds reveal legions of people positively giddy about the situation. Relieved. Ecstatic. Finally, they say, these Christians have been proven frauds. They are sinners, hypocrites. Jesus is a lie. Christianity is false. And unlike other journalists, what they usually do is they will include the tweets as proof, because it's very simple to do, just to encode a tweet into the article. So the actual tweets related to what you're saying, you could just post them, and then people would see them in your, rather than just saying these are the evil things I think people are saying on the internet, like Jesus is a lie because of this. So if that exists, you post a picture of it. Just I don't know. Josh Duggar had already lost his job, been publicly shamed, and had his name permanently sullied by these revelations. But critics are not satisfied. They want the show cancelled, and anyone who supports the family to give up and join the mob of stone throwers and witch burners. Yeah, I mean, why are you throwing stones at this dude? Okay, what's the big deal here? They say that Josh is not the only villain here. His parents are also guilty for not going to the police immediately. Now, I'm actually supposed to be on vacation at the moment. That's neat. So, were you married at this point? Was this when your family was like, can we please go to Hawaii, Daddy? And you were like, no, Daddy has to write an article. There's some really bad things happening, and people are getting this story twisted. But while the vultures gleefully descend upon the family, I feel the need to make a few points of clarification. Number one, the Duggars are Christian. The Duggars are conservative. The Duggars don't believe in gay marriage. Someone in the Duggar family did something terrible. These are all facts. None of these facts conflict. None of these facts disprove any of the other facts. This is really just trying to sully the waters here. I'm going to do some word association here, and I don't know if it's going to end the way you want. From the way liberals always react in these situations, you'd think that a Christian committing a sin somehow delegitimizes the faith itself, but that's not quite accurate. Who, by the way, is the straw man in this case? Like, who is this weird person who is suddenly like, well, you know what? I was a Christian, but now I know Jesus was a lie, and now I have to go on the attack. They would indeed be correct if their assessment of the central tenet of the Christian faith was that all believers in Christ are without sin or blemish. From far from being a doctrine of the religion, it is actually the precise opposite of what us Christians believe. None of us, not the Duggars, not anyone, can claim a faith in Jesus bestows perfect holiness on the faithful. It is because of our sinful nature that we need him. When we sin, we do not disprove that thesis, we underscore it. So go sin, everyone, so you can prove Jesus exists. A Christian failing to live up to his faith does not make him a hypocrite. It makes him cowardly, perhaps. It makes him selfish. It makes him flawed. It makes him sinful. It makes him any number of things, but not necessarily a hypocrite. A hypocrite is an insincere person who misrepresents his own beliefs. By saying that you believe something is wrong, only to turn around and do it, doesn't prove that you never held that belief. It just proves that you were too weak to stand by it. I'm not diminishing Josh Duggar's infractions. Yeah, that's kind of been the entirety of this article so far. As I said, he did something very bad. Why do you keep referring to it as the bad thing? That sounds like Peep Show. What are you doing here? It's the bad thing. Disturbing, evil. These are major sins. But Christians commit major sins sometimes, which is the whole reason why Jesus died on the cross. That doesn't negate or condone anything, but it shows that Christianity does not hide from the sinfulness of man. A Christian understands the depravity of human nature, so when a brother or sister does something depraved, our faith is not shaken. Okay. Is there a reason you're not actually describing the events? I mean, I'm going to click on the Wikipedia article. I believe he molested his sisters when they were 5. I know he's 14 at the time, but you could still call this out as being something that was kind of fucked up, you know? You don't have to keep calling it, he did a bad thing. A bad thing occurred, but are we not all sinners? And doth sin not prove the existence of Jesus? So again, checkmate, libs. Speaking of hypocrites, I'm going to be very frank with you. I simply don't believe most progressives actually care that Josh Duggar touched his sisters when he was 14. So by kind of, you know, reframing it this way, he was young. He was only 14 years old. So that's all we're going to say on the matter at this point. I don't believe they are upset about it, or that it offends them, or that they are morally troubled by it. I don't believe them. I just don't. I think they're the real hypocrites. Yeah, they're the real victims. After all, Lena Dunham admitted to inappropriately touching her sister, and she told a story in a jovial way, as if it were an amusing anecdote. Unlike Josh, who repented long ago, and when it was made public, owned up to it and apologized again, Lena responded by telling her critics that right-wing conspiracy to back the fuck up, bros, while Duggar called his own behavior inexcusable. I can do you one here, Matt. I don't find Lena Dunham to have handled that acceptably, and I think it's kind of really weird, the Lena Dunham story in general. So yeah, I'm not here to defend Lena Dunham. While Duggar called his own behavior inexcusable, Dunham described the people upset about her behavior as disgusting old men. Yes, Dunham remains a liberal hero, just like Bill Clinton, who's credibly accused of rape multiple times, and Harvey Milk, a gay rights icon who got his very own Hollywood biopic, and a creep who regularly sodomized teenage boys. Interesting how the language suddenly becomes fire and brimstone when it involves a gay person. Listen to this! Progressive culture is filled to the brim with rapists, molesters, deviants, but they never seem worried about any of it until a well-known Christian crosses the line. No, fuck Bill Clinton. He's disgusting. Like, it's not hard. I guess that's because you're dealing with the libs. I get it. It's always interesting to watch progressives discover sexual morality just in time to denounce a right-winger, only to shed the pretense as soon as the next liberal pervert comes out of the woodwork. They are moral opportunists. They are the actual hypocrites. This outrage is a charade, a circus, a show, a political ploy. It always is. Number 3. Wow, we're still on the list. I forgot. I know I'm opening myself up to serious criticism here, but let me be honest with you. If my own son, God forbid, came to me and admitted to doing what Josh Duggar did, I don't know that I'd immediately run to the cops. Would you? Is it really that simple? The decision to have your child arrested as a sex offender would be an automatic thing for you. Really? I guess I'm just a horrible person then. I don't know all the details. Nobody outside of the family does or ever will. But it appears that Josh's parents attempted to address the situation within their family before going to the church, and then eventually to a law enforcement officer. Again, there might be parts of the story that would change my analysis, but right now, based on what we know, it seems they handled this the right way. Or at least I can't say for sure that I would have known to do or go any better about it. As a parent, you'd have to think whether your 14-year-old son deserves to have his life ruined over his mistakes. Maybe you decide that he does. I can't say I agree. Either way, there's no good answer. No simple answer. No happy answer. Something really, really bad has happened, and now you have to figure out the next step. It's not easy to know the next step, but it is certainly easy for the rest of us to stand off at a distance 12 years later and declare that they took the wrong one. Number 4, I'm confused about the past sins are relevant and when they aren't. Today I'm told Josh Duggar's actions from 12 years ago ought to be enough, as Montel Williams declared forever to brand him a slime bag and a danger to kids. But I can recall recent cases like Mike Brown's where pasts were completely irrelevant, even though the past crime happened, like 3 minutes before he assaulted Officer Darren Wilson. Different things are different, Matt. I'm having trouble following the logic. Not that it matters, but I don't say any of this as a fan of 19 Kids and Counting. I respect the fact that it's wholesome entertainment, but if not for my wife demanding we watch it every Tuesday, I doubt I'd ever tune in. That said, I admire the family. They are living by their convictions, in defiance of cultural trends, and clearly bestowing a strong faith in all of their children. Oh, it's so wild that this is all in between what actually happens afterwards, and we're going to get to that. But anyways, good call, Matt. Great judge of character you are. That faith hasn't, as we established, made any of them perfect saints, but it seems genuine. Many people look at them as freaks because they have 19 kids. Personally, I wish we all had the courage to be freaks. That doesn't mean we all need to have 19 kids. Kind of just sounds like you mean that. But it does mean that we ought to be living and acting in ways that seem radical in our society. I don't see the Duggars as pretentious or holier than thou or snobbish or whatever the stock insult weak-minded secularists always throw at the devout Christians. I see them instead as people who have gumption and live according to their convictions. They might not live it perfectly, but it appears they're trying, which is more than I can say for many in our culture. So go ahead and crucify the Duggars if you like. Burn them at the stake. Rip them to shreds. I won't be joining you. Instead, I'll be off to the side, praying that you can endure it when the mob eventually turns round on you. So, Joshua James Duggar is a convicted American sex offender and former reality TV star from the show 19 Kids and Counting. He's the eldest of Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar's 19 children. John Duggar was the executive director of FRC Action, a lobbying political action committee sponsored by the Family Research Council. From June 13th to May 2015, I didn't know that part, he left his position when the news broke that he had molested multiple underage girls, including a victim under 5 years old, when he was aged 14 to 15. These revelations also led to the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting. His publicity woes were named one of the 10 biggest scandals of 2015. On April 29th, 2021, Duggar was arrested by U.S. Marshals on charges of receiving and possessing child pornography. Oh, what happened there, Matt? He was found guilty on all charges on December 9th, 2021. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The political activity is interesting. Arkansas House of Representatives. He was active in conservative politics. Under Arkansas state law, child abuse charges must be filed within 3 years of being reported to a police officer, so it didn't fall within the statute of limitations. His father had taken him to meet Joseph Truman Hutchins, an Arkansas state trooper and family acquaintance. Because of this contact, the statute had started at the time and ran out by the 2006 investigation. As a result, no charges could be filed. Hutchins himself was convicted of a 2012 child abuse case. Interesting. So In Touch Weekly stated that he had told the Arkansas police that he had molested 5 underage girls between 2002 and 2003 when he was 14 and 15 years old. According to redacted police reports obtained by the Freedom of Information Act, 4 of the 5 molestation victims were his own siblings. Yikes. Jim Bob reported that he learned in March 2002 that he touched the breasts and genital region of his sisters on multiple occasions while they were sleeping. Both parents stated that they were made aware of the incidents when he confessed that the girls initially unaware of the abuse that occurred. He stated that Josh was disciplined at home. Duggar's parents learned of the additional incidents of the victims, including touching of a babysitter, reaching under the dress of a young sister who was on his lap, and cornering a sister in the laundry room and then reaching under her clothing. They'd been told the abuse included a much younger sister who, according to the Duggars, didn't understand that she had been properly touched. Jim Bob informed the police that he'd enrolled Josh in a program consisting of counseling and physical labor. After consulting the church's leadership, he was sent away for 3 months. On August 2015, following the online posting of information from the Ashley Madison data breach, which included records of credit card transactions under his name, Duggar and his parents released a statement on the family website, which he admitted to watching pornography on the internet and being unfaithful to his wife. According to the material obtained in the data breach, Duggar's credit card was used to pay for almost $1,000 of 2 Ashley Madison subscriptions, which were canceled in May 2015, shortly after the molestation allegations surfaced. I had been the biggest hypocrite ever while espousing faith and family values. I have secretly, over the last several years, been viewing pornography on the internet, and this became a secret edition. Isn't that an affair website, not a porn website? Like, you go on it to find people to have affairs with? Wasn't that what it was? Did he try to fool everyone into thinking that he had spent $1,000 on porn? Anyways, I secretly have been spent the last several years viewing pornography on the internet, and this became a secret addiction that I become unfaithful to my wife. The last few years, while publicly stating that I was fighting against immorality in our country, I was hiding my own personal failures. The reference to pornography was later removed from the website. On August 25th, 2015, Duggar checked himself into a rehabilitation facility that his family described as a long-term treatment center. In 2015, pornographic actress Danica Dillon filed a suit against Duggar, claiming that he had assaulted her to the point of causing physical and emotional injuries during an episode of consensual sex at a Philadelphia strip club earlier this year. The incident occurred after she had provided $600 worth of lap dances to him. She's seeking $500,000 in damages. Dylan chose to drop the lawsuit after evidence came to light showing Duggar was not in Philadelphia at the time of the alleged assault. Oh, okay, so this one is filed under false. 2021 arrest, trial, and conviction. On April 29th, 2021, he was arrested on federal charges for receiving and possessing child pornography. Prosecutors alleged that Duggar obtained the images in May 2019, and it was acknowledged that the federal investigation by the Office of the U.S. Attorney had been previously recommended. Duggar's used car dealership, Wholesale Motor Cars, was searched. A part of the initiative launched by the U.S. Department to protect children from sex abuse and exploitation. The federal grand jury's indictment accuses Duggar of having knowingly received pornographic images of children who were under 12 years old. Following the arrest, Duggar was booked into Washington County Jail. After that, he pled not guilty to one of the charges of receiving and possessing child porn. The attorney indicated that he would fight back in the courtroom. Said that if Duggar were awarded bail, he would have in residence that no minor. Sorry, he could be in a residence where there are no minors in the home. At the time, Duggar's 6 children were under the age of 11, and his wife Anna was pregnant with a 7th child. Duggar was granted conditional bail, transfer custody to a third-party custodian. On December 9th, 2021, a jury found Duggar guilty of receiving and possessing child pornography. He was faced up to 20 years in federal prison and a fine of $250,000 for each count. Just wondering if they had anything. On December 3rd, an official from the State Department of Justice testified that the hard drive in Duggar's computer had been partitioned into 2 sections, one which had Windows installed that he mainly used for business, and the second which had Linux installed, which he used to download, access, and share child porn. The accountability software Covenant Eyes had been installed on the Windows side and was set to alert Duggar's spouse when pornography was viewed, but the software could not detect what was accessed while the computer was using Linux. The husband and the wife. Wow. That's pretty wild. Husband and wife, Jim and Boyle Holtz, were called as witnesses to the prosecution. Jim Holt testified that Josh Duggar had asked him how to create the Linux partition on a computer in 2010, when Boyle Holt reiterated the same information that he testified on. Guess the failsafe didn't work out there. Yikes. So anyways, this guy's an absolute monster. And Matt Walsh, I guess, hasn't retracted, or made a separate statement about his original article. Don't know if he's going to walk it back. I don't know if he's going to add some corrections, maybe. I mean, they have edited it once, so I can't see why they couldn't do it again. To say, he could just basically change the entire article and just write, "I was wrong." It'd be a fast fix update, June 7th. I was wrong, and then leave it there. But yeah, fun stuff. Good stuff, Matt. I'm sure Matt Walsh is going to keep doing cell phones. Not cell phones, but self-owns. I'm sure he's going to keep posting a bunch of emails from other people. He doesn't seem to be addressing any of the valid criticism of his film, such as why exactly did you post a picture of what you believe to be a topless 15-year-old girl in your documentary? And again, that's what you believe. That's something you're going to address at some point, I assume. Maybe we'll see.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the round table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.